fundamentals are the things that don't really change. They stand the test of time, they work on any platform, and if you can really get those things down, you're gonna have the ability to be more successful in your marketing and sales anywhere that you're marketing.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Call. I am honored to have a special guest on today. Allie, welcome to The Call.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's good to chat with you. We tried to get this done a couple of times over the last month, and both of us got sick at different times, and so we had to reschedule. And finally, we made it.
Yes, so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good to talk. We were just jamming a little in the green room about country living, which is something that's new to you. Tell us a little bit about what drove that, and no location specific. We can leave that aside, but a little bit about what's going on with you.
For sure. So towards the end of 2020, I paid very close attention to world events and current events and lots of different things. And I started to feel really strongly that it was a good time to start looking for land. My husband, he loves kind of the country life. He's a hunter, he's a fisherman. So that's always been something he's been really passionate about. And we've talked about kind of in passing over the years. Never really had a reason to do it. We actually moved into, we bought the home he grew up in from his mom and remodeled it since about the day after we got married. So we had basically fully updated the house exactly how we wanted it. And, it was a great area, a great neighborhood. We didn't really have a reason to want to leave. But I just started to feel like this was the right time. It's what we needed to do. Farmland is getting harder and harder to find in a lot of places in the country. Things are getting more expensive. So I felt like, hey, if I don't want to not have any options and not pay way overpriced, I should probably start putting this into action now. So
getting in the move. Yeah.
Exactly. So I took my family to Gatlinburg, like my mom and my stepdad, my brother and sister-in-law and everybody that New Year's. And we started talking a lot more seriously about it. My mom has always wanted to have a lot of land. She grew up on 5 acres in Mississippi and had some of those elements, but really just loves the outdoors as much as we do and was super excited that we were talking about it. So we started looking at a couple properties online when we were there. We came back. We looked at our first property on the 10th of January, which was my husband's birthday. Loved the property, made an offer, didn't get that one. I was really sad about it. But, one door closes, another one opens. We kept looking and we found another one that we absolutely loved. We were looking for some pretty specific things. We wanted it to be close to civilization, not too far from our family and friends where they were, but we wanted it to be private, secluded. We wanted a lot of acreage and we wanted natural water sources and trees and flatland. We wanted a little bit of everything. So we weren't sure how hard that would be to find, but we really found it in this property. And decided to go ahead and make an offer on it. We got it under contract. We did a 3-month close so we did a home equity loan to get most of the money to pay for it. And we're able to, basically pay for the property in cash. And then we started building a house late last year. So we just we sold our house in September and we're able to get a 3-month close and a 2-month lease back so that we had extra time to stay in the property. We were hoping our house would be done right now. Unfortunately, we've got about a month left before we can move in.
Oh, so I'm too bad.
Itching to get in there. But it's been a big transition kind of in this little in-between stage. We are staying at my father-in-law's, which is like a half mile from our farm, which is really nice. So we can still get over there. We're doing a lot of the work on the interior ourselves. My husband had a remodeling business. I'm super handy with that kind of thing. I love remodeling and tile and painting and all that jazz. So it's really kind of all coming together now. And
that is so cool.
I am just beyond excited. We're going to have an animal rescue. We are really going to try and turn it into just a really fun place to be with a lot of great things for my daughter and her friends to do, my friends and family to do. And it just feels like kind of the next chapter of my life. I couldn't be happier. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that is just kind of crazy. And while I don't prefer to retreat away from things, I do really just crave simplicity and peace and quiet and outdoor living. I love nature and animals. So it's really exciting, especially with all the time I spend on technology with work. I need that to balance me out. So I'm just hyped about it, and really my business has made it all possible. So it really feels like kind of the fruits of my labor paying off in a big way, which is great.
That is so fantastic. And those who obviously know me or listen to this podcast enough recognize, we live in the country. 9 years ago, we had the same epiphany that the situation in the world was probably encroaching a little too much on our lifestyle. And so we sold the big house on the little lot and moved into 40 acres in the country. So I was going to ask you, what's your definition of a lot of acres? Because mine has changed since then.
Yeah, so we got 61. Yeah, 61.
61. Okay,
It's a good amount, honestly. Like everyone we talk to kind of says the same thing. They're like, you're going to want so much more. And I guess it just kind of depends. I don't know there's a ton of opportunities to buy more like right around us. We haven't really looked into it, but I feel like it's going to be an adjustment on its own, just taking care of that much land compared to we had like an acre and a half before. It's such a difference.
Well, you'll be getting the 4-wheelers and the 4x4s and the tractors and the other components will make it a little easier. Like the first couple of years we moved in here, we didn't have a snow machine or snow removal or a tractor or anything to take. And of course, it snowed like 20 inches. And so we were dealing with that in a new way that we hadn't dealt with before. And so everything becomes an adjustment. But let's unpack that a little bit more because it's part of why we do business is lifestyle, right? I mean, your business has created an opportunity for you to drive a lifestyle like this. Mine was created in such a way where I wanted to get it there and have developed that over the years and drug some of my family along. So no one else was out here. Like you mentioned, you had family near you and you chose a location. When we moved to where we are, we didn't have any family. But now that we're here, we've pulled in my parents and my wife's parents and my aunt and uncle and my sister and brother-in-law. And now combined properties are about 65 acres. And we have either a community or a compound. Take that or leave that for whatever you
I
want.
like both of those names. I say that all the time. My mom and my stepdad are actually probably going to build on the property, trying to convince my dad, trying to convince my brother and sister-in-law. And we weren't really looking somewhere close to my father-in-law. It just so happened that this property was there and makes it super convenient to be able to see him a lot more. So I'm thrilled.
Well, it's an important component of why I feel connected to this conversation is obviously family is an important part. We have a large family, and I know you have a family too, and it's a big integral part of our whole lifestyle now, including homeschooling our girls and being in the local community, a small community of 1,900 people where we are, and getting involved with the other local families that are like us, which is great. And I know that's going to be a big impact on you guys as you get deeper into the community there.
My daughter's 5, Good. So she's in preschool now. This next year, we got her enrolled in a homeschool co-op. 2 days a week. So we'll get to know a lot of the other families. Super close. Yeah. I'm really excited. I mean, there's absolutely no way I could ever send my daughter to school at this point, honestly.
I thought I could once upon a time. I literally did. And I thought that was going to be. And now that I look back and we were having this conversation yesterday, I could never, I don't know what I was thinking. Why would if I could do it somehow, if I could change it, if I could get a different position, if I could sell my house, if I could rearrange something in my life, why wouldn't I have done that to allow my daughters the opportunity that's been afforded them? And we did. I mean, we did do that stuff. And now I look back and I'm like, man, that was so more valuable than I ever anticipated in the process or even the concerns about it. The all stereotypes I'm sure you've heard too. They're not going to be socialized. They're not going to have the same level of education. They're not going to have the same opportunities afforded to them. Man, what a load of crap, right?
Oh, for sure. Well, so I had a kind of a unique experience growing up. I went to public school, I went to private school, and I was homeschooled for a year. So I kind of got a little bit of everything. And my mom has always really since the day my daughter was born, probably before that, you really need a homeschooler. And I always said, well, I'm open to it, but I'm busy. I run a business. I don't know how I'm going to do it. My husband was still working at the time. My business has allowed him to not have to work anymore. Really, he's going to be running the farm, which is great. That's his dream in life. And now it just makes so much more sense now. Also, I feel like even if I wasn't in this position, I would try and figure it out because I don't know. I want to have more control over what my daughter's exposed to and what she learns and how she learns. And she's so smart, just seeing that, she's not even in school yet and she's reading and she's writing and she learns so much. And it's been just passively just teaching her things, over the course of her life. And I just feel like parents they can do such a better job, but it does seem scary and it seems like too much work and too much time. But there really are so many more resources than I ever realized available to people who want to homeschool. And you just don't know about them until you start looking into it. So I think it's something a lot more parents in the world are doing that never thought they'd be doing. Some of them were kind of forced into it. But I honestly think that part of that's a good thing because it showed them that they can do it and that, maybe it's a much better fit for their family.
Well, you mean you have to make some adjustments. It gets down to, obviously, you've been choosing to make those adjustments, which takes you from a victim to somebody who's enabling and making choices in a power position, which is very powerful, of course, to take those and move it forward. You feel like there's those moments that you're not empowered to make those changes, and there's excuses about life and business. And I have a car or a house I pay for. I have things that I have to do. I still want people to remember you have a choice.
Yeah.
Sure, some of it may come with negative consequences for the moment, or it may feel overwhelming or stressful, but you still have a choice at the end of the day.
It's so funny because, I don't know, the more successful I guess I've gotten in my business, the less anything material really matters to me. And I've never been like super focused on money or things. Really, money's always just been like a grading scale for how I'm doing as a business owner. That's kind of how I think about it. Like my revenue goals are more just, how am I doing? Can I get to the next level? Not necessarily because I care about the money, but I'm just kind of at a point where I want so much less, like in terms of stuff and just simplicity. I think that we've all lived in a society that has just pushed material things and like keeping up with the Joneses type of mentality for so long to so many people. People just get into things that they don't even necessarily want or care about because they think they should. And those come with financial burdens that then like shape their life and their decisions that they're making. When at the end of the day, if you really ask yourself, is this that important to me? The answer is probably no.
Probably not. And if you really stop and think about it, needs and wants, do I need, do I want? And in a society that you're right, I felt a long time ago was pushing so much want. My spiritual check, my resistance to that was, just get out of it. And my wife amplified that and actually came and said to me separately, you know what? I feel like we just need to make this change. Like we need to get out of here. We need to go find some acreage. Now, I'm a city guy, grew up in a cul-de-sac in a concrete jungle and lived in cities and lived in New York and Kansas City and big cities and was never like on big acreage. And so at first when she came and she said, we want 20 acres. I was like, what the hell am I going to do with 20 acres? Like, how do you manage 20 acres? And now that I've actually been on 40 acres for quite a long time, I'm like, I could probably use another 40 in here and just to kind of spread it out a little farther, because it seems like you take the truck for a drive and go somewhere or get in the ATV and drive off. It's like, well, it kind of ends.
Yeah,
like,
I don't want it to end.
Like, yeah, I don't want it to end. I literally don't want it to end. And the beauty of where we are in the way that it's separated, we have 200 acre farms over here and 600 acre farms over there, and like a mile away is 1,000 acre national preserve. So even if I get off my property and go down our hollow road out here in the holler, I can just keep going for miles and miles and miles and miles, which is fun because we like to do that. Just get in the truck and drive.
It is fun. It's so much more fun than people realize, I think.
It really is. And I know it's not for everybody. I know that not everybody wants the country experience and the challenges that come with it. But I think if you're like you're kind of reshaping your worldview a bit. You're kind of refocusing priorities for family and life and purpose and drive and what's important. The opportunities to gain some space and get in the country and get your hands dirty in the dirt. It's actually a lot of fun. I mean, we did it when we were kids, right? I watch my girls play in the dirt and act, stronger and tougher than some of the boys we know.
Well, I think we all often just like think we know what we want and we don't, because growing up, I thought I only wanted to live in a big city. I thought I wanted to live in New York City. I went to New York City when I was about 17. I realized it wasn't for me at all. I think mainly because even though I do like the excitement and the places to go, I always really liked the fact that you could walk everywhere because I hate driving. So the walking aspect sounded great, but I need nature around me to feel good. If I don't have it, if I don't have green things and trees and things that are growing and it just really hurts my soul. And I guess the more I've realized that, the more I've been open to it.
When I was living in New York, I was living in downtown, and because of the way I was traveling and working, I had to stay in a lot of hotels or short-term rentals. And so the one thing that I felt most comfortable, and now that you mentioned that, I forgot all about this, was running up through the park, like going up Broadway, getting out of the city and going into Central Park. Because all of a sudden I felt reconnected to the world. All of a sudden I felt like, hey, there's some peace here, like getting out of this jungle. I never, I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's good stuff. So your business has obviously given you a lifestyle. It's given you an opportunity. What is driving that? What are you doing, Allie, that's allowing you to do this?
Yeah, so I am in marketing. I started a marketing business 2018, and I've been in marketing really since 2011. I got a job like while I was still in college and started working in a small publishing company. I was doing graphic design, social media marketing. I ended up like launching this brand new trade magazine with the company and learned ad sales and just a lot of different things. The sales portion has really kind of served me a lot in my life since then. Never thought I wanted anything to do with sales. But then I ended up, just kind of really wanting to start a business after that. It gave me my first taste of entrepreneurship. I'd wanted to start a business before that. I actually have some business ideas from then that I still would like to pursue to this day. And life just kind of happened. I ended up getting a job as a marketing director for one company. And then I ended up going to another company as a marketing director, and, great experiences. It's hard to feel like I should have done it sooner, like when I look back, because I know that experience has really allowed me to do what I do today, because I have such a deeper understanding of like the inner workings of the local business, the small business, than so many marketers do. But it was really like weighing on me. I knew that I wasn't going to be fulfilled unless I started a business. And I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter. And I also never thought I wanted kids. Like I literally thought I would never have kids. And I was pretty upset about it for most of my pregnancy. I just thought I had all these wrong ideas about it. It's you don't know what you don't know. I suppose I thought it would never let me succeed as a business owner or in my career. I thought it would prevent me from traveling and, all these things. I thought it would be too hard. I'd just never really been around kids. We lived out of state from my extended family. So I just honestly had very little experience with young children, and I didn't feel like I was super maternal, but it was all wrong. I was totally off base in everything that I thought about parenting. But ironically, I started my business like with my daughter nursing on my lap. I was building my website, and she was kind of the push to actually get me to start my business, which is really funny, considering I thought it would be such a hindrance, and it turns out to be the thing I needed to take that step. So I started working on that like while I was still working full-time, working nights, working weekends. I mean, I was working so hard just to build a client base that I could leave and not have my family in a financially sticky situation, because me and my husband really both had to work at that time. And over the years, my business has evolved so much. I've been so blessed, but I started off with more of an agency model. I was doing done for you services. Local businesses have always been my focus, because that's all I've ever known, really. And I also had some unique insights that a lot of marketers didn't have. And it was also kind of an unserved niche. There were people doing it, but nobody that was really doing it well. It always seemed like people would kind of start there and then they'd move on to like the e-commerce and stuff like that. So I felt that there was a real opportunity to just kind of claim that space in a lot of ways. And so did a ton of content marketing, really, doing things all the time. I did 5-day challenges a lot. I did a lot of videos. I just started with whatever I could organically, because I didn't have a ton of money to spend on advertising at the time, and was able to get, a good amount of clients. I was actually able to transition my full-time employer into a client. And that was really when I went full-time in my business. And it was great. I think just kind of the decisions that I made through that process allowed it to be a much easier transition, because I started off making more than I was making at my regular job because I still had my salary from my regular job and, the revenue from the other clients. And then over time, I just realized like how much I didn't really enjoy the agency model, to be honest. I love marketing. I love everything that goes along with it, but I also don't really enjoy having a large team and managing a lot of people. I found that out fairly quickly and just kind of made the decision that I was not necessarily going to stay doing the thing I was doing because I thought that I should be doing it. I was going to try and really hone in on what I was going to be most happy doing long term that could actually allow me to remove myself from the business because I knew a lot of agency owners and like I hired a coach and that was great. I hired another agency coach. And the interesting part about his model was that it was all about removing yourself from the business, which in one way I appreciated because, it's a lot of client facing interaction and things like that I like to do, but I just didn't want it to consume my time. But on the other hand, I didn't really want to remove myself from the business because I love marketing. I love the creativity and every aspect of it. So I got so much from that program, but really decided like, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I started a group program. My coach, the agency coach, actually is the one who encouraged me to do it. Never really thought that's what I would be doing. I kind of had previously like a bad taste in my mouth from like the whole coaching industry in a lot of ways, just seeing people that were totally unqualified, claiming all these things and just seemed kind of scammy to me. And I knew there were great people out there. Obviously, I had found 2 coaches that I really liked working with. They were not scammy at all. But I just didn't know that that was for me. But I took his advice. I launched the program. I sold $100,000 myself pretty quickly in that program. And that has really evolved over the years. It started off being a 9-week implementation focused where I would help them get their entire system set up in 9 weeks. Then the next round, I decided to do a 12-week to make it a little bit longer. But it was like a start and stop type of program. Then I slowly transitioned to also offering a class for agency owners as well that really wanted to learn some of the same things. A lot of them aren't super experienced in the marketing stuff. It's unusual to really talk about, I think. But I didn't like that aspect about the industry, but I felt like, hey, I can teach them how to be better, which will serve their clients better. It'll also help them really scale their business. And then eventually I started working with another coach that really focuses more on kind of simplifying everything, streamlining everything, really focusing on that program and growing it in the right way, adding on additional aspects of that so that it is way more passive than the agency business, but something that's super profitable. And I've been with him for about 2 years now. He's amazing. He's kind of a minimalist and I'm almost the opposite. So I need someone to kind of rein me back in a lot of ways. But today I focus on my group program, which is now a 12-month program, and adding on a mastermind the middle of this year. And I have digital, systems essentially that I sell as well. So it's been a huge evolution over the course of time. Still doing the same thing, just serving people in different ways. My day-to-day looks quite a bit different than it did before, but focusing pretty heavily on Facebook and Instagram ads, follow-up systems, automation, really sales and tracking and all of that good stuff to help local businesses grow in this challenging time.
Fantastic. That is amazing. And you don't have to, is that your daughter running around? That's amazing. It doesn't bother me at all.
Okay, cool.
If someone comes and knocks on my door, it doesn't bother me at all. So you have, my kids might run in here at some point. So, obviously systems and automation and building good people. And yes, of course, there's a whole stigmata around coaches who coach coaches, and those who don't actually know how to do, only teach. And then there's you. I know you're serious. I've watched you for a while. I know that you are very smart at what you do. And obviously you're very good at what you do. And I'm very honored to have you on the show sharing some information. So if somebody wanted to get initially going and try to figure out what are the 3 things that somebody wanting to market a product or service or coaching or program, what's something you can leave us with here that they should do immediately if they're not doing it today?
Absolutely. So actually, before I hopped on here, I just finished recording a local lead generation masterclass, and it really covers all the core components of that. So I think people get too wrapped up in a specific platform or, trying to run an ad. They don't really understand the fundamentals, and those fundamentals are the things that don't really change. They stand the test of time. They work on any platform. And if you can really get those things down, you're going to have the ability to be more successful in your marketing and sales anywhere that you're marketing. So the first thing I really encourage people to do is kind of take a step back and say, what are the critical numbers in my business? What am I selling? What am I profiting? What are my margins? What are all the KPIs that I currently have? And making sure they've got a handle on that, because most businesses, they skip over that entirely. They lose track of what's profitable. They don't even know what success looks like at that point. And the next thing is the offer. So the offer is so important because it doesn't matter where you're advertising or how good your ads are if people don't want what you have. So really understanding on a deeper level the type of offers that are out there, what they're designed for, which businesses are a better fit for which type of offers, then how to add on offers in the back end to maximize the profit and the revenue from the front end offers. And then once you have that, everything becomes quite a bit easier, because now it's, okay, which platforms do I want to advertise on? I already know I have a great offer. I understand what my success metrics actually look like. Now it's more about, we've got to target the right people. We have to know who it is that is the best fit for this. I have kind of a methodology around that, really understanding the different levels of awareness that your different buying groups are in and creating specific pieces of content that appeal at those different levels, but also pull people down through that awareness cycle to get them to the point where they're actually ready to buy. Because we also kind of live in this instant gratification world that people are like, I want to put out an ad and make a lot of money. And they don't understand, even though they themselves are probably like this, people don't just buy the first time they see something. It doesn't work like that. It can happen occasionally, but that is not the rule at all. So they need to be willing to put in the effort to really understand those things. Like, if you want these people to give you money, you need to know about them. You need to know what they want, what they don't want, what they need, what they don't need, and the best format to give it to them. But outside of that, it's really great copy, great creative that will capture someone's attention first and foremost, because there's so much distraction everywhere online. And if you can't get their attention, you can't get anything else. So that's kind of step one once you're actually advertising on the platform. Step two is really having copy, or if it's a video ad, like a video script that is compelling, that does speak directly to the audience. It has the right flow to it, and getting them to the right place afterwards. So not the homepage of your website, not some random page. It needs to be specifically designed for your offer. It needs to, have a very nice cohesion with the ad and the messaging and the copy that that person was coming from. And it needs to just sell that next step, not your whole business, not everything you have to offer, just that offer or that next step that you want them to take. From there, sending them to the next step, which could be booking a call, booking an appointment, having them come in for something, or making a purchase. Then from there, what's the ideal next step? Maybe there isn't one at the moment, but you have your follow-up systems in the back end that are really designed to move people through that process or ascend them to that next purchase if it's a good fit. Really get those reviews and that social proof and everything in a much more streamlined fashion, and also be able to track everything, because if you can't track it, you definitely, yes, and you don't know what to keep on, what to spend more on, what to turn off, and you're kind of just flying blind. Even if things are working, you don't know what's working. And so you're ultimately spending more than you have to be, when you could take that money from elsewhere and only put it into the things that are working the best. So just kind of some core principles that are more psychology based than anything, that are really the foundation of any great ad campaign and really any system. Because that's kind of the other piece that I like to talk about, the fact that this is a whole system. It's not just one part or piece. You can do well without some of these pieces, but you're still leaving a lot of money on the table, and you can do much better by having a start to finish system that doesn't remove humans from the process altogether, because I strongly believe that nothing can replace human connection in any type of sales process, but that frees you up from doing those repetitive tasks, the follow-up that maybe real humans are forgetting to do. You can set those up to allow yourself to maximize each and every interaction, every single lead that you're bringing in. And ultimately, got to have a great product or service on the back end, or you're going to have a lot of refund requests and disputes and things of that nature, not a lot of referrals. But if you have that, then those are really kind of the core components that you need to be focusing on, and doing it in a step-by-step fashion, not trying to skip over to the fun part of setting up ads or building a funnel. Those can be fun, but they also can seem overwhelming, like really overwhelming to a lot of people. So also just, trying to get people to take a deep breath and say, I don't have to do this overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. As long as you are taking the steps to implement these things and to understand more about your business and craft that offer, like, you are moving forward in the right direction. And, you can get it done pretty fast if you want to, but if it takes you a little bit of time, progress is better than what you've had. So it's still so worth it to take those steps instead of just sitting by and expecting something to magically change.
That's great. That was like a mini masterclass you just gave out.
It's fresh on my mind.
Fantastic. No, it's amazing. I mean, obviously, you know your stuff and you know it very well. And in my simplistic language, a know, like, and trust relationship takes time to build, from the ad to the copy. And I remind people in what we do, or what you're doing in the marketing and the business and e-com and others, the mechanics really don't make you the money. They're just there to support the language and the information and the value statements that you have and the copy that you're providing. And of course, the services you're providing are more important than whatever mechanism you use to deploy that in. You get the message wrong and the offer wrong, and nothing else matters. You have the most beautiful funnel, you have the most beautiful products on Amazon or whatever, and if your message is missing the point, if it's not value driven, if it's not in demand, it doesn't matter. People won't buy from you. They just won't trust you. So, Allie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing and imparting some wisdom today. I am honored and I'm humbled, and I appreciate you spending some time here sharing your wisdom with us. Is there a great place for people to connect with you? Should they go to your website? Should they get you on Facebook? How can you get reached? How do you want to be reached?
So you can go to my website, alliebloydmedia.com. But ultimately, like, my YouTube channel is definitely a place you can go to learn a lot. I have a lot of great content on YouTube. I respond to all the comments on YouTube. Facebook can be good too if you want to request me as a friend. I honestly have been spending a lot less time on social media personally recently. So, if you'd like to talk about, how I can help you, you can definitely go to the site, book a call. Otherwise, YouTube, you can, send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll definitely take a look at it and say hello. So those would be the best places to go. Or my podcast, Marketing Inc., Big Ideas for Local Businesses. Great episodes every week that, if there's any local businesses or local marketers in the audience, would love to have you check it out.
Yeah, so definitely, if you're into marketing and you want to get more sales, traffic and conversions are on your mind, if you're into leads, coaches, or agency, this is definitely somebody you want to talk to about helping your business grow locally or grow and expand online. Thanks again, Allie, for coming on. I very much appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, it's been great. Have a good one.